Hey, hi, hello, everybody. Welcome to our Overwatch developer live stream on maps, both voting, reworks, new maps. Somebody, McBrown1010 asked in chat if this was live or if this was going to be pre-recorded.
It's live.
So
It's live.
just there's your
Well,
answer.
that was
there
live.
you go. It is live.
It's pre-recorded
Want
now
to welcome all of you
this is
guys
already
here,
over.
but also kind of want to go through what we're doing here, what we're hoping to cover before we get into it. Really looking to do sort of like that deep dive into a specific topic. For today, obviously maps. Like I said,
Yeah,
voting,
new
reworks,
maps.
new
Thank
maps,
you.
and really get into the nitty gritty, not just like a high overview, but as
Witty.
much as we can cover with how we've developed these maps for Season 17. So I really want to throw this over to my friends here on the couch.
Yeah, what we're looking for is, a very like casual sort of get into nitty gritty of some of the other things we're doing in
Witty.
Season 17 and the mid-cycle, 17.1, and, put kind of a nice focus
Mid-cycle?
on some of this stuff, so we
that
have
what they
George
call
here
it now?
today, one of our senior level designers, to talk through a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so in addition to map voting, Alec will go over that a bit. I'll be going over our reworks of Suravasa and New Junk City, and then once we're done with those, I'll be showing you the new map, Atlas.
Because Flashpoint is
Before we jump straight into that,
Flashpoint's not
I'm
really
gonna
that
ask,
fun to play on right now.
any
so I didn't
particular
rework them.
games you guys are currently playing?
Yeah, I've been getting back into Street Fighter. There's
Nice.
a recent patch, so I've been getting back into that for EVO later this year. And then
Why are we talking about
Doom the
Street
Dark
Fighter?
Ages. There's actually one thing on the team we like to do. Every month we like to kind of gather and talk about a particular game, usually something that's within the genre, and talk about like, hey, here's some really awesome things they did. And the shield in that game is great. Yeah, so
Okay,
a lot of really good game feel.
Yeah, and I've been playing Elden Ring Night Rain and the Oblivion remaster, so I've been living it up in Cyrodiil a bit.
Nice. Okay. I'm always OG Overwatch. I work on it during the day, and then in the evening, I'm either in Stadium or in Comp.
I've been playing a lot of Stadium
week and a half
myself.
since I've been here. Haven't been able to play,
And
and
new Fortnite
it's
Blitz
making
mode.
me a little itchy. But yeah, so let's jump into maps here. We're gonna start with map voting. So I'm gonna throw this to you, Alec. Walk us through map voting.
Yeah, so
Show us
just to
something.
start off, like, why are we adding map voting? We think overall Overwatch is a better experience when you get to play on the maps that you enjoy more often. We also believe in adding tools to our game that allow the players to sort of like show us what they love the most, right? So that's one of the things.
I'm
we've
glad
been
they're adding
really
map voting.
looking
It
at
took
with
them a
hero
long time
bans
to do it.
and map voting. This has been in works for a little bit, and we think it provides a nice. One of the things we wanted to maintain with map voting though was that there's still variety. You're not just only playing King's Row every single time, even though that's probably going to win a lot of votes.
Yep. Okay.
So we're still going to use our same old like map logic to actually populate what maps are going to appear in the voting itself. And
You
we
get a
think
choice
overall,
of
it's going to
three,
help
and
influence
it's
things
still
later on,
random,
like which
even if
reworks
you,
we do, which maps are may need most attention.
One
yeah,
has the overall voting.
Definitely been a big
It is
requested
increasing
feature
the
on the
percentage.
community side. I believe we have. Do we have a little?
I think we have a little video.
Yeah, okay.
For the
sweet.
flow
Let's see
here,
it.
what you're going to see actually like pretty soon in Season 17. So
So two
normally there'd
maps.
be 3 maps here. This is
Oh,
actually
because
from
it's Flashpoint. Okay,
play
so
test
there
we had
will be
recently.
3.
We're actually playtesting the reworks for Suravasa, New Junk City. So you
That's
go through,
Yes,
you'll see the
higher
votes
chances to be
populating.
picked,
This
so
is
it doesn't
overall,
mean
like,
guaranteed. It
entire
should be
lobby, what they're voting
guaranteed.
on, that represented by those little
You know what I
ticks
mean?
there.
That logic
And
that
then
makes sense.
you see the number of votes below that, and actually the split of what your team is voting for, what the enemy team is voting for. Part of the thing
yeah,
we wanted
so
to do with not only map voting,
2
but also
players on your
events
team
is
chose
make
New
these
Junk City, and
screens
3
feel like
players on your
social
team chose
experiences. So that's like one, like the
Sirvana,
votes are popping in,
and
you
it's
see what your
1-1
team's
for
going
the
for,
enemy
you see
team.
the enemy team's going for. So there's like a little
That's what
layer
those
of
colors
strategy
are for at the
there. If,
bottom.
you want to make sure you're on the map that your team is actually wants the most, rather than being the odd one out. And then once you actually go through, you'll see all the votes come in, and then you'll see this roll through. So you can kind of play through that to see the roll through and how it actually decides which map you're going to play on. And normally, this countdown, if all the votes are actually already in, it will actually just automatically go into the roll through itself.
Sweet.
Yeah. One of the other things, and you'll see, like, it's like it's like one of those games you might play, at some amusement parks or something like that, where it rolls through. Boom, boom, boom.
I don't think I mean,
we want to make this a very fun experience.
the
too. We want
randomness
this to feel like
shouldn't be a thing.
there's
I feel
something
like
here
it
that's,
should just be
exciting
whoever
about this
votes
moment.
the most.
So it's not majority rules. It's actually
should
it's going to
majority
roll through
rules.
and pick one of those
But-
votes. So if it is 9 votes on Kings Row and there's 1 vote on something like Rialto, it could still land on that one. The chances are low, but it could happen. And we also want everyone to feel like their vote is impactful. Maintain that sense of variety as well.
That makes sense.
Right.
So like,
I can understand
how did
that.
the map voting idea internally start? How did we kind of come up with what we wanted?
It's one of those things we've talked about for a while, but in earnest, this project probably started with one of the things on the team we like to call Harvest Fest. So Harvest Fest is Overwatch's version of our own hackathon. And what happens is teams get together and they make a variety of different things for the game. Some of those things are much more like personal projects. Some things are a bit on the silly side.
So this was
hero
in
prototypes and things like that. That
this
go
was just the devs
bonkers.
messing around,
And then
playing
there's some
around.
projects,
This is what was created
that
when they were doing
There's a
that.
group of people on the team that's like, I really want to see this in Overwatch. So I have 3 to 4 days to put something in front of the team that can help make this a reality. And then, what we'll do actually, like for the next few game check-ins and things like that, the team will all gather and we'll actually go through and people will present their ideas. It's a really
pretty
fun
cool.
experience over that
Map
end
voting's
of
been
the
great.
year as we're presenting all of those. And one of those, I think this is 2023? Yeah, 2023 was
Okay.
map voting. So there's a group of people that were really passionate about map voting.
Oh, so they had
and you
to-
can see
they
this
had
is the
ideas
early
in
UI of
2023.
this. Actually show the enemy team 2. We were thinking about doing hero bands and map voting in one screen at one point, and
Should
what
be-
that might look like.
I think in order it should be
but
maps,
You can
and
see a
then
lot
it
of the
should
stuff
be
from this early UI.
hero
from
bands,
Justin
because
on our
hero
team
bands are
actually
really
ended up
dependent on the map.
being in the real UI itself. So some of the changes over time.
Yeah,
we
this is
wanted
practical,
to
the UI is
actually not
just,
have the enemy team there yet, because that kind of flows into hero bands
Yeah.
as well, where you won't see the enemy team until it all populates. And we wanted this to get a little bit cleaner. So there's a bit more space by removing everyone on the right. You see some of the boxes here and there. And then how did the voting ticks? How did the voting roll through? What did that look like? So I think there's another screen here we have that'll show. There's actually some progress here. Yeah, we had
Very
some
similar to
inspirations
those
from some
video
other games that
maps.
have done similar things. But we
Okay.
wanted to keep it on one screen. This is still a really fun screen. I love this because it actually shows who
So
voted
this-
for what.
this was very
and it
similar
represents
to,
all the maps and kind of this nice visual
Mario Kart
representation
World,
of
or
it
not
all,
World
rather than-
Online?
There's a little
That's
bit
how
of
they did
counting
it,
in your head
like
in the
this?
current one.
Yeah.
But we
But they
wanted
wanted
to
to
keep it on one screen
simplify
just
it
make
and
it flow a
put it
little
on
bit
one
easier.
screen,
But
so
here's another
pretty smart.
prototype that we were doing.
Love this entire team on the bottom that just went all in on Kings Row. It was just like, that's it. We're going Kings Row.
Yeah. But so we went through some iteration, and I really love what the team did at the end of the day with the ticks, because it just allows it to represents the vote, also represents how you're able to roll through it, and then keeps it on one solid screen. So we can make this as seamless as possible.
Right.
We want map voting and hero bands to
Yeah,
not
you
add
don't
a
want all
ton
the
of
clutter.
weight to your,
Yep,
your time
exactly.
before you get into it.
Which is really
actual
smart.
Overwatch match.
Makes sense. So obviously we got a lot of data with hero bands that we've been through in our weekly recall blog.
Some red
Previously,
band.
If you haven't read it, you should. But yeah, what are we looking at with map voting?
Yeah, so obviously we're going to see which modes and which maps are more popular than others. But
Right.
I think what we're going
That's
to
really good data.
take from that is how does that influence what reworks we do? Season 19, we're already
Right.
getting started on some reworks. There's
People are
sort of
going
the
to
end of the
prefer
year.
a certain map, and they're going to be like,
We're
okay,
working
how do
on
we
some of those already.
mimic this on the on the
But
maps that people don't
we already
enjoy
do
playing?
surveys that
And why are
influence that, which
those
is more like
the reasons?
behavior
Which is
in
really
game.
good.
So it will be a little bit different to see how that results or compares to some of our surveys.
Yeah, so I would say that's, if there's one thing you take away, I would want you to take away knowing that map voting is going to help us have data and understand
Exactly.
what you like and what you don't like, and then we can go and we can have more reworks, because we really want to keep updating our maps and levels in the future, and it's just invaluable data for us to get, so we know what maps we can kind of keep reworking.
And a
And
side
pitting,
note,
something the same
Rainbow
against
Six
each other,
Siege
I think is
has
something
been
everyone
doing this
goes,
for
at
years.
least
The hero
you go back
bands
play
and
for
the
we
map
love playing on
stuff,
control, but I was
like,
okay, which
that's
which
what's so
maps in
great is
particular,
that
though?
Overwatch
So,
is finally
I'm
in that
excited to
same
see that
realm
all
that
go
they're
live
trying
pretty
to
soon.
push
Oh, fantastic. And speaking
into
of, I
a
guess,
really
your
healthy
team or,
community in the
what
sense
maps
of
you like,
data that
how is this?
the
how is
community is
map
able to
voting
show
been,
to the
received
developers
internally
and
in
why
our play
it's
tests?
important to
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
show that to
we
the
keep
developers.
going back to the Kings Row wins a lot. But it's
okay.
good to see sort of the split of who likes push on the team, who likes Flashpoint,
That too.
who's actually
There's people that
more of a
prefer
hybrid
certain maps
player
over
in
others,
particular.
even if it's not a
Yeah,
fun
I
map.
think
Like, people
overall
don't-
though, it's I
Well,
think
a lot
there's
of
always
people
this
don't like
moment,
Rialto,
like,
but
in the
I'm
lobby
one
where
of those people that
people are
enjoy
in team chat.
Rialto.
They're typing like, okay, let's vote for this, let's vote for this, and then you see the roll, and then it ends up on the one map that someone voted, just one person voted for. Like, it's like, who did that? But it's just a great time. I think there's, as I said, a little social experience before you get into the game, and hopefully that creates a nice moment for the teams.
Fantastic. Well, I'm really excited to do map voting. Really excited for like 90% of my games to be on King's Row. But as
90%
I'm
of
sure
my
most
games like
people
King's Row.
in chat probably feel similarly.